Hey, somebody asked me how they could make the Ermes Gasparini's Michael Todd apparatus. And here is one way to do it, which is quite simple, but then also this same system allows you to train a lot of the movements which require a pulley system. So here is the system in its basic form. You If you have some kind of table or surface, you first attach this kind of what is wooden piece here. You can, if the surface is some type of a surface which you can sacrifice for this project, you can just screw it here. But if it isn't, you can use these clamps which I have used. So they just squeeze it on this surface so you don't have to make holes to it. And then you have just 2x8 wooden piece like this, and it's just here freely, and then you pull it here so that it touches this. And as you might have seen, here is a weight plate, so it's my resistance now. And to use this system first for the what Ermes Gasparini is doing, you take another 2x4, you put it here, and then you take a stick which you have cut to the length you want, and you put it like this. And then here I have a little groove where the other end of the stick goes, like this. And now you have this going on, like this. And now you can use this system to train this. And obviously more weights you put, harder it gets. And if you only use it for this, you can just screw this from under the, this side grooves into this so that it stays on place better. But yeah, and if you want to change in which angle this is, you can either slide this higher, or you can just move the knot that there is more of this strap. If you want to train against King's Mover. So this is one way how you can use this system. But then the other way how you can use this system, which is a more general thing, you can just open this. And now if you know this, you can use this same system to train all kinds of pulley system things. For example, if I want to train my riser, I can do it like this. If I want to train my pronation, I can do it like this. Or around my wrist. If I want to train just pocket pull or back pressure, I can just put this on my arm like this, and then or however you want to train. Like you don't need that piece, since your forearm will function as the lever. Your forearm will always hold this rope at the same height. So, because as you might know that this pulling this like this is harder than pulling it like this. So the height of this matters how hard this is. But if you always wanna know that it's the same height, you can adjust something like this here and do your movements like this. Now it's for sure this is your level arm. And do you or whatever you want to do. And note also that now the ratio of this distance to this distance is your mechanical advantage of this system. Meaning that now you have a shorter lever arm than this system has. So that means that the mechanical advantage is against you. Now the system has more advantage against you. So let's assume that this distance is 2 times the distance of this. So in this case, since I have 2.5, it would feel like 5 kilos or something. And also it now has higher inertia also. But if you don't want it to have a higher inertia, or you want to use bigger weights, then you just attach your weights lower here. If you put it here, if you measure this distance, and then take half of that distance, and put your weights here, you make a hole and put some kind of stick where you can put the weights. Now, when you pull, now the mechanical advantage of the system for the weights is lots less. You have the upper hand, in other words, and the inertia of the system is lower. Yeah, a pretty simple system if you want to train whatever movements so that they come to on the side and you don't have a pulley system. If you want there to be always the same lever arm, you can do it like this. Let's say you want to train the side pressure. You would do something like this. And whatever you want to do this. And of course you can then also attach handles here. Whatever handle you have, and then just train them. And if you want to do the side pressure like this, then you can do it like this. Yeah. And obviously you do everything to the other arm, but since you cannot see anything if I do it, I skip it. Yeah, and you don't need this if you, for example, want to train the side pressure like this. Or some kind of this kind of move. So there you would have a simple system which can replace some kind of pulley system. But note that if you are pulling this, if you want like a bigger range of motion, then note that this gets easier more it rises. Because the lever arm of the system, this weight gets shorter. Since its lever arm is like, if you would think that there is a light source above this perfectly, then the lever arm of this system is saddle. Like this is the lever arm. It's saddle. So note that now that higher this is, the shorter the shadow is. So, and biggest the shadow is, the now it would be the biggest since the shadow is its length. But I think it works great if you are doing just a small movement, since you are just doing something like this, like just getting this to separate from the surface, which you could do if you do that movement also. Yeah. And note that I have chosen that this is 2x8 for the reason that wider this is against this board, the more stable it is. Meaning that if I would have a 2x4, it would be very likely that this would happen. It would start to go to the side, you know. And also, of course, you can then, if you actually want to make this system, you could just with a fourth 2x4 here and 2x4 here and glue them together. So now that you now have a very wide base for this system, so it's stable, more stable than this. And you can just screw it here. And if you want to make it even stronger, you can just screw this here and screw that there. So then, you know, you have wider space for this. And if this is just something valuable, like a bench or a table, you can just, after you're done, you can just take this whole system apart, like so. And you don't have any markings anywhere, other than what these can cause, and the fact that you are moving stuff on it. Yep. So this kind of system for the Ermes Gasparini handle for Michael Todd, or if you want to train against the King's Mover. And of course you could have, like the Ermes Gasparini has a partner in that end. You could also have somebody pushing there. But this is just a solo version. Okay, this might be worth mentioning that if you don't want the Ermes Gasparini thing for King's Move thing, but you just want the alternative for the Devon Larratt table pulley system, you can just, rather than do what I just showed you, you can do this. So we have a board and a weight on it, and here is another board. And now when you pull on this, you see what happens. And why this is better than the previous four generally, if you want to have an alternative for a pulley system, is because this has a bigger range of motion. Because this lever is no longer. Meaning that when you pull, let's say you pull here, you pull 20 centimeters here. Now that you have only caused that to rise the same 20 centimeters. Meaning that it's still in the optimal range. because it only becomes ineffective when it gets like very upright. And obviously you would have this so that that there is some kind of thing that it doesn't move. But if you don't pull here so that it comes very upright, it will stay there. And to make this more solid, of course, you could just like screw boards here and screw this into these pieces. So it stays into this angle, but you still have this, and you could also put a screw through this with a washer so that this also stays here. So it would be a very solid system. And then if you have a table which you want to use, you can just have your table here, and then you just use this as the Devon pulley without any pulley wheels. You only need two boards. They don't even have to be like 2x8. If you put like I explained, you put something like this so that the base is wider, so it doesn't fall to the side. But this would be the basic mechanism. Now you could do all the Devon Larratt table pulley system lifts with this system. It looks now that it's more unstable than it would be if you would screw everything. If I would screw this like here and screw this here and have a stopper here. Like if you have the table here, you can just put 2x4s here so that there is now distance to the legs of the table. So it's naturally cannot come this way. Because if you don't have anything, this can slide like this. But if you have a table here, you can just put 2x4s here, and then it prevents that. And this is screwed on place, so it stays like this. And then you could do all the multi-spinner stuff on this and all your whatever you want. You would basically have the table pulley system without a pulley wheel or anything. All you need is this, couple of boards, and what is this? Some kind of martial art belt. Or you can just put a chain from this to this, and then a separate cable coming here. The chain would be more rigid. It wouldn't, like if you actually put a lot of weights here, this will start to, it's a little bit elastic, meaning it bends, it elongates. But if you want it to be solid, then you would put the chain here. So it doesn't change. There is no wiggle room for it. And then you just attach something here, you maybe a cable here, and then you can do all your movements with this pulley alternative. I would think everybody has money to buy two pieces of 2x4 and a belt. And it doesn't require you to bolt anything to the floor. If this, you can just put this until they touch the legs of the table, and it will hold this so that it has distance. So this is what I mean. You can do your stuff like this. And more distance you leave here, more range of motion you have. I left that much distance, so I have this range. But if you do what Devon Leverett does, you might notice that his range of motion isn't great, so, or it's very short. Don't mean to say that you should have bigger, but just saying that his range of motion is kind of short. And of course, since I screwed this here, you can make a knot here and then attach cable to that knot. So now you can attach whatever handle you want to this system. Yeah. And as you can see, I have the board here. And the board prevents this from sliding this way. Since it touches the legs of this table. So it prevents this from coming closer. Okay, so now everybody should be able to have a table pulley system. If even without the pulley wheel or anything, because this is not very difficult to build. Bye.